What's up, guys, and welcome in to an Auburn preview edition of the Rally Time podcast. As always, I'm your host, Justin Babin Jr. Christian is in the producer's chair, and we're getting ready to preview this Auburn series in Auburn, Alabama that starts tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, I believe. We'll go through the times for the games later in the show like we always do. Really interested in this Auburn series. Auburn is ranked number 9 in the D1 they're ranked number 9 in one poll, but in the D1 baseball poll they're actually ranked number 11. But they're a top 15 team in the nation. They're coming off really good series win against Alabama. Took 2 out of 3 against Bama last weekend, and Bama's been really good. They're one of the top teams in the SEC this year, so Auburn's got a lot of momentum. So that'll be mostly what this show is about, an Auburn preview, but I do want to spend at most 5 minutes on the midweek game LSU played this week in Thibodaux at Nicholls. LSU beat Nicholls 5-3 in Thibodaux. The LSU offense, early they kind of struggled a little bit. They left a lot of runners on base early, especially in the 6th inning. They left the bases loaded in the 6th inning without scoring a run. So they didn't score a run until they put up 5 runs, and they finally busted the game open by putting up 5 runs in the 7th on 2 walks, a hit by pitch, and 4 singles. Connor Ware was a starting pitcher for this game. He pitched the first 3 innings, gave up a run on 2 hits and a walk. Jaden Newt and Connor Benj also pitched in this game, with Jaden Newt giving up 2 runs on 2 hits and 2 walks. William Schmidt pitched the last 4 innings of this game and was really, really good. He was really impressive. Best outing we've seen from Schmidt in a little while. He pitched the final 4 innings. He didn't give up a run. He didn't give up a hit. He did give up 2 walks, but he did strike out 8 in 4 innings. So it was really impressive by William Schmidt, and he's a guy who, it's kind of like the trajectory of Cade Anderson in a way, where Cade Anderson was really good last season in the, non-conference, and then wasn't as good in SEC play, so he got a couple midweek outings in him, but it really set him up to come back in his sophomore year and do what he's doing now. I'm not saying William Schmidt's going to throw next year complete game shutout, 135 pitches with 14 Ks, but I'm not saying William Schmidt's going to do that. But yeah, William Schmidt was really good against Nicholls with those 8 Ks in 4 innings Tuesday night. Stephen Milam and Daniel Dickinson had 2 hits in the game. Ethan Fry had 3 hits. And then Jake Brown and Chris Stanfield both had 2 RBIs in the game against Nicholls that LSU won by a final score of 5-3 on Tuesday night in Thibodaux. So let's do a deep dive right into this Auburn series. It starts tomorrow, Friday night, on the Plains in Auburn, Plainsman Park. Auburn has a 23-10 record overall in the season, 6-6 in the SEC. As I said before, they're number 11 in the D1 baseball top 25. They're coming off a really good series win. They took 2 out of 3 at home against Alabama, who was number 8 in the country. And then for their midweek this week, they had a really good midweek win on the road against Georgia Tech, who's number 15 in the country. So it was a really good win. Really a lot of momentum for this Auburn team. What they've done in the SEC is they've won a series against Kentucky, Alabama, and Vanderbilt. They won all those series 2 out of 3, and in between that, they got swept by Georgia, who, if you haven't seen Georgia, they're leading the nation in home runs, and they're a top 5 team in the country, top 5, top 10 team. So Georgia's lights out. So don't really blame them for getting swept by Georgia. But in the other series, Auburn has taken 2 out of 3 against Vanderbilt, Kentucky, and Alabama. So they're a pretty good team. A lot of these stats I got on Monday right after their series against Alabama. They are 5th in the SEC with a .306 team batting average, 11th in the conference with a 4.62 team ERA. Let's get into the pitching, and the ace for Auburn is one Sam Dutton, who was at LSU for a couple seasons. He transferred to Auburn, and Dutton's been really good. It's been kind of shocking because he wasn't he wasn't terrible at LSU, but he wasn't always great. He put in some nice outings, but really, kind of hit or miss at LSU. But he's been really good as the ace for Auburn this year. Dutton's got he's got a 4-2 record, 2.66 ERA, 44 innings, 51 Ks to 10 walks in 8 starts. He's a righty. Fastball in the high 80s, low 90s, up to 92, 93. He's also got a slider and a nice big breaking ball. So it'll be interesting. One thing with Dutton is, like, I was trying to think the other day, LSU has a lot of new guys in their lineup, Christian. They have a lot of new guys, but there are some guys, I'm thinking about all the guys who probably hit a couple times against Sam Dutton the past few seasons he was at LSU. Jared Jones is one of them. Josh Pearson, Michael Braswell, Stephen Milam was here, but Jake Brown, but Curiel, Dickinson, Hernandez, Stanfield, all of those guys are new. So it's interesting. LSU has a few guys who have experience against Sam Dutton and a few guys who do not have experience against Sam Dutton. So that's kind of interesting from my perspective.
Yeah, I think Sam Dutton is an interesting case because it kind of felt like if you watched enough LSU baseball over the last few years, you kind of felt like Sam Dutton had something that we didn't see yet, right? I think Jay Johnson counted on him a lot. Maybe not so much in the tight, high leverage situations that you would see Griffin Herring come into, but you definitely saw a good bit of Sam Dutton watching LSU baseball. So I think Jay Johnson probably saw something in him. Maybe Nate Yeske did. But I think Sam Dutton, it comes as a surprise because he didn't do much at LSU, but I'm not the most shocked in this. I'm really not. So.
Yeah, he's been good. He had a really great start last weekend against Alabama. He shut out Alabama in a 7-inning run rule victory.
Yeah.
So it was a really impressive performance against Alabama.
Maybe that starter role is what he needed. Maybe it was the starter role. Maybe it was the reliever role holding him back. He gets a starter role at Auburn, and bam, he just takes off. I think he probably wouldn't fit into the starting rotation. Obviously, this year he would. I think you could fit him in this year with the season he's been having so far. But over the last few years, he probably doesn't fit. But again, I'm not the most shocked by this.
Yeah.
So
another guy to expect to probably get the starting game too on Saturday is Florida transfer Cade Fisher. Cade Fisher is a lefty. 4.43 ERA in 20 1/3 innings, 25 Ks to 17 walks in 7 starts. Cade Fisher has a fastball in the high 80s. He also has a slider and a changeup as well. Last weekend, he pitched 3 innings in his last start against Alabama. He gave up 2 runs on 4 hits, 2 walks, and 4 Ks in those 3 innings of work last week against Alabama. After Dutton and Fisher, it's kind of interesting because we saw, kind of early in the season in non-conference, the Saturday guy was righty Christian Chatterton. But Christian Chatterton has an ERA in the mid-6s with a record of 2-1 in 24 1/3 innings, 25 Ks, 13 walks, and 7 starts. Chatterton's fastball is between 93 and 95. Got a curveball, slider, and a changeup to go along with that. But I don't expect him to start because he started the midweek game for Auburn this week at Georgia Tech. He pitched 3 innings in that game, I believe. And, he was good in non-conference play, but he's really kind of struggled in SEC play. Couple games against SEC competition, I think his last SEC outing, he didn't even get out of an inning. So I don't expect Chatterton to start. I think the Sunday starter is probably going to be the guy who started Game 3 against Alabama last weekend, and that was righty Andreas Alvarez. So Andreas Alvarez, righty with a 7.5 ERA, 1-0 record in 24 innings, 21 strikeouts, 10 walks, and 4 starts. Low 90s fastball, changeup, curveball, and a slider as well to go along with that low 90s fastball. Alvarez last weekend he made the starting Game 3 against Alabama for Auburn. And in that, he pitched 2 2/3 innings in that start. He gave up 3 runs on 2 hits, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. So starting pitching-wise for Auburn, Dutton's been good and Fisher has been good. The Sunday spot is kind of between Alvarez and Chatterton, and they both have ERA that's above 6. So it's kind of like they've both kind of had good starts, but not so good starts. So, I think the advantage for LSU, is that I don't think this Auburn team has the greatest pitching staff. I don't think they're a bad pitching staff. But I think this lineup, especially with LSU's lineup and how good it's and dominant it's been at times pretty much all season, we'll be able to get after a couple of guys, especially as you get later into the weekend. So I think, compared to Oklahoma with Kyson Witherspoon and Malachi Witherspoon, Auburn doesn't really have an arm like that. So I think that's an advantage for LSU. Moving to the bullpen, 2 guys to definitely pay attention to out of the bullpen for Auburn is righty Cam Tilley and then lefty Carson Myers. So we'll start with right-hander Cam Tilley. Tilley has a 3.57 ERA, 22 2/3 innings with 31 Ks to 10 walks. Tilley's got a fastball in the mid-90s with a slider and a breaking ball. Moving to lefty Carson Myers. Myers has a 3.24 ERA in 25 innings, 30 Ks, and 4 walks. That's a really good strikeout to walk ratio, 30-4 for Carson Myers. High 80s, low 90s fastball with a changeup and a breaking ball for Carson Myers. So those are 2 guys to definitely pay attention to out of the bullpen. The top bullpen arms are Cam Tilley and Carson Myers for this Auburn team. A few other pitchers we're going to run right through really quickly to get to this lineup for Auburn. Parker Carlson, is a right-hander. Parker Carlson's a right-hander who has a fastball in the high 80s with a 3.5 ERA in 18 innings, 19 Ks, 3 walks. Lefty Griffin Graves has a 3.6 ERA in 10 innings with 10 Ks and 3 walks. Griffin Graves has a low 90s fastball with a slider and a changeup. Ryan Hetzler is a righty with a 3.95 ERA in 13 2/3 innings with 13 Ks and 2 walks. Ryan Hetzler has a low 90s fastball along with a slider and a nice breaking ball. And then the last guy is right-hander Dylan Watts, who has a fastball between 92 and 93 with a 7.53 ERA in 14 1/3 innings with 18 Ks and 9 walks. So like I said earlier, his team's ranked number 11th out of 16 teams in the SEC in team ERA in the mid-4s. So I don't think their pitching staff I don't think it's terrible by any means. They have some good arms in Dutton, Fisher, Tilley, and Carson Myers, but they do have some guys with some high ERAs. And I think that's the thing for LSU that's going to help them out is I think they'll be able to get after a few of these back-end arms from this Auburn pitching staff. As we move over to the offensive side, 3 guys, I'm going to give you more than 3 guys, but 3 guys we really need to pay attention to, 3 guys on this Auburn team. Chase Fralick, Ike Irish, and Cooper McMurray. Those are the 3 guys you really need to pay attention to. So we'll start with Chase Fralick, who leads the team with a .357 average with 8 doubles, 3 bombs, and a team-tying 27 RBIs. So he's tied for the most RBIs on the team with 27. McMurray had 4 hits, including 2 doubles in the first game last weekend against Alabama. Or Fralick did. I don't know if I think I said McMurray, but Chase Fralick had 4 hits, including 2 doubles in the first game against Alabama. And Fralick leads the team in average and tied for RBIs. Another guy to really pay attention to is Ike Irish. Ike Irish has a .347 average with 6 doubles, 1 triple, 7 homers, and 25 RBIs. Irish is the most notable guy coming into the season for, what he's done the past few seasons at Auburn. Ike Irish was a freshman All-American in 2023, and he was a first-team first team All SEC member in 2024. So Irish has been pretty good. He had 5 total hits between the 3 games last weekend against Alabama. And then Cooper McMurray, 345 average for McMurray with 8 doubles, 7 long ones, and 27 RBIs to tie for the team lead. And then McMurray hit a grand slam against Georgia Tech in the midweek game. So McMurray, Fralick, and Irish are the 3 guys to definitely pay attention to. They've all been really good this season. A few other guys to pay attention to. Chris Rimbert has a 315 average with 7 doubles, 4 bombs, and 20 RBIs. Rimbert had 5 total hits, including a bomb last weekend. Eric Snow has a 310 average with 9 doubles, 4 bombs, 21 RBIs. Snow had 3 hits, including a double in Game 1 against Alabama last weekend from Eric Snow. Cade Ballou has a 303 average with 4 doubles, 1 triple, 4 bombs, and 16 RBIs.
Is that the Ballou from Texas's brother?
I
They have
think
any relation?
I think it might be. I haven't checked for sure.
Do they have the same
related.
spelling of names?
They have the same spelling of names.
All right,
They
give it
do
a quick
have the
search.
same-
Give it a quick search.
quick search real quick.
What's his average? Do you have his stats? Is he comparable to his Texas counterpart?
Well, so the interesting thing is Max Ballou actually was injured, unfortunately, 2 weekends ago, and he's out for the season now.
Okay.
Actually, so
what's this Auburn player?
Cade Ballou.
Cade
Ballou. So
Is
Cade
it
Ballou.
Cade Anderson spelling or Cade Doty spelling?
CADE.
So Cade Doty spelling.
Yeah. Cade Ballou, his average is 303, 4 doubles, 1 triple, 4 bombs, and 16 RBIs. So Christian's going to let us know if they're related. We're sending Christian on the search.
I don't think. No, they're not brothers. I wonder if they're cousins. That would be
Yeah.
nice. I've never heard this last name.
I was
very
interested because
I'm very
I was like,
curious if they're cousins. I mean, that's kind of cool, I guess.
It is kind of cool, yeah. Moving to a few more hitters, 2 or 3 that we're gonna go through. 2 more. Bub Terrell has a 294 average from Bub Terrell. 4 doubles, 4 bombs, 20 RBIs. Bub Terrell had 3 hits and 3 RBIs in Game 2 against Alabama. And then the last guy is Derek Fabian. Derek Fabian is hitting 283 with 3 doubles, 1 triple, 4 bombs, and a team time 27 RBIs. So I believe Chase Fralick, Cooper McMurray, and Derek Fabian are all tied for the team high in RBIs with 27. And then Fabian, last thing about him is he did have 3 hits and 2 RBIs in Game 3 against Alabama. So that is the kind of stat breakdown of this Auburn team. Again, pay attention to Chase Fralick, Cooper McMurray, and Ike Irish. Those are the 3 guys you want to pay attention to. I believe this team, we said earlier, is 5th in the SEC in batting average. So I would definitely say Auburn's more of a hitting team. Like they're really good at the plate. They've been pretty good at the plate. They were really good against Georgia Tech and Alabama this past week, and they're carrying a lot of momentum, from, that midweek and that series against Alabama. So I would say a little bit more concerned with the lineup than I think it's kind of interesting because you had Oklahoma last weekend, Christian, where Oklahoma was you could tell early their pitching was their strong suit.
Yeah.
Over their hitting, right? You could tell that. I think it's opposite. I think it's flipped a little bit.
Sounds like it
Auburn.
for sure.
Not to say Auburn's got a terrible pitching staff, but their hitting is the better unit, in my opinion.
I would almost rather a strong hitting team and a weaker pitching team with this LSU team. I think LSU can pounce on teams better if their pitching's weak, like you saw against Mississippi State. I think when the lineup's strong and the pitching's weak, I think like if LSU were to go down, I think they have a better chance to come back than if the pitching was strong, right?
Yeah.
So I think this favors LSU, a weak staff and a strong lineup, because I think I trust LSU's pitching enough to get them out of games with not too many runs scored, especially against good hitting teams, whether you want to go Cade Anderson for 9 innings or if you want to go Cade Anderson and then Zach Cowan. Like, I think that's a pretty low-scoring game right there. So, yeah, I think this matchup favors LSU.
So I'm gonna, now that you kind of leading into our prediction segment, Christian. So with that analysis from you, let me know, how many games do you think LSU takes from Auburn this weekend, and what games are they?
I have been kind of negative on LSU for the majority of the season, but I think I learned my lesson the last 2 weeks. I'm not going to overthink this. I think LSU sweeps them like they swept Oklahoma and Mississippi State. So I think LSU gets a sweep. If they're to lose a game, the only way I think they lose a game is because of a Sam Dutton masterclass against his former team on Friday night. But I don't see it happening. I think LSU sweeps.
Yeah. For me, I'm a say, keep it like it's been the past few weeks. I just feel like, I feel like the thing is, the formula last weekend was, Cade Anderson. I don't think Cade Anderson's going to throw 130 pitches again.
And he won't need to.
Yeah. And I think you're not going to just be able to use that Cowan and Case and Evans, and that's the only 2 arms you have to use out of the bullpen. And, we still haven't figured out, as far as in SEC play, who else is going to step up out of the bullpen. I'm going to pick LSU to win 2 out of 3 against Auburn, win Friday, win Saturday, drop the game on Sunday. I know it's kind of similar to what I've done the past few weekends, but I really I find it hard to predict sweeps on the road in SEC play, especially with a team who beat a good Alabama squad last weekend in Auburn. Alabama's been pretty good this season, and they get 2 out of 3 over them like Auburn did, and then to beat a top 15 team in the country on the road in a midweek game against Georgia Tech was they got momentum. I'm going to pick LSU to win the series. I will say, we've kind of talked about it off camera, Christian. I feel like this is a potential trap weekend for LSU. And the reason why is it's going to be games 5, 6, and 7 of a really, really long road stretch. LSU has played 4 straight games on the road, and by the end of this, they will have played 7 straight games on the road. 6 of those in SEC play against Oklahoma and Auburn. And, I'm not saying, I don't think LSU is going to lose the series. Like I said, I picked them to win 2 out of 3, but I think it's a potential trap weekend.
Yeah.
With, the long road stretch, haven't been at home the past week and a half really that much, and then, Auburn with the momentum they've got going. But I'm still going to roll with the purple and gold Tigers to win 2 out of 3 for LSU, and that would move them to 12-3 in SEC play, and that would be a great start. It would be the reverse start of how they started last season. So they started 3-12 last season in SEC play, and if they won 2 out of 3, they would start 12-3 this season in SEC.
Wait, 12-3. Who they lost 2 to Texas, and then who was their other one?
They lost a game to I want to say Mississippi State. No, not Mississippi State.
No,
they swept Mississippi State.
They swept Missouri.
No, I'm saying 12-3 if they win 2 out of 3 against Auburn.
Okay.
So Auburn would beat them for their 3rd loss.
Okay.
But I'm gonna pick that. That's my prediction for LSU. Like I said, pay close attention to Freilich, Irish, and McMurray at the plate, and then Dutton, Fisher, Carson Myers, and Cam Tilley on the mound for Auburn. I think the formula is kind of simple. I think you need to get after this pitching staff. I think Auburn's going to, be able to. I'm confident in the ability of this LSU pitching staff, but I would think Auburn, with the lineup and how they've been playing, is going to be able to score a few more runs than Oklahoma was able to. So I think the formula is kind of middle of the road pitching staff, average kind of pitching staff for the SEC, and Auburn as a whole. I think the formula is kind of an offensive weekend on the Plains for LSU. I think that's what it's going to look like. Pick them to win 2 out of 3. And, so Christian, you picked a sweep. Yep. I picked 2 out of 3. So let's see how that goes. You guys put your predictions in the comments. Kind of vibe check. How are you feeling going into after this weekend? LSU will be halfway, 15 of the 30 games done after this weekend in SEC play. Let's just give you the times on these games from Auburn. So the first game is tomorrow night, Friday night at 6 o'clock. And then Saturday, the game is also at 6 o'clock. And then Sunday, the series finale is at 2 on Sunday afternoon. So really enjoyed bringing this preview to you. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Put your predictions in the comments. Kind of vibe check how you're feeling about this weekend and this LSU team as a whole as we near the halfway point in the SEC slate for the 2025 season. We appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we hope y'all enjoy the weekend and have a good one.